We'll get the slag and the dross knocked off of here. We'll get it flat disc. We'll throw it in the sandblaster, and then we'll get it into the paint booth. And I think this one I'm just going to do in flat black. And we'll get it in the oven, cook it, see how she looks. That'll be that. I have another idea for how I want to paint these. I want to do the whole thing in gold and then cut a circle to go behind it and do that circle in red. It's just a background. I think that'll look pretty good too. But we're going to start with flat black. Now that we're done with the sandblasting, I hang it in the oven here, let it outgas, let it heat up, hopefully dissipate the static that builds up during sandblasting, but also any moisture that might have gone through the air lines during the process. Try and cook all that out of the metal. This is not cast metal, you don't have to outgas it, but I do like to cook it before I paint. I've had good luck with that so far, so I'm just going to stick with it. Actually, it looks pretty good. There's one spot that's messed up, and unfortunately it's on the front. The back actually looks fantastic. I thought the back would be messed up, but for the little back ionization spot right here where it was, you know, kind of blown out, it looks like a white spot, but it's actually just the light reflecting in there. So we're gonna throw a second coat on here as soon as the temperature comes down. We're getting pretty close. We're at we're 140 right now, 160 up here, so we'll let it drop another 20 degrees and we'll start throwing that second coat on there. I don't have enough knowledge to hot flock, so I'm not gonna screw around with it, to be honest with you. There we are, we're down below 140, or 136, 135, so we're good. there she is in all her glory, all done. Turned out really nice. Very happy with it. I got all the drops on the cut. And that was a big problem. This is my third go at this design. And I had some issues where it wouldn't drop, so all the cutouts along the rope on the perimeter, all these shading cutouts in here, those are all sticking. Every cutout on here, all the latitude spots, everything was sticking in there, the lettering, and I had to pick it all out by hand, which is doable. And the sign still looked okay, but there's two problems when you have cutouts that don't drop. The first problem is the amount of extra time that it costs you to hand pull everything out of there. That could easily add an extra hour every time you cut the sign. But really the bigger issue is when you have cuts that don't drop, that means you haven't, the torch hasn't satisfactorily moved beyond where the cut started. And you wind up having all these little tits that stick up, and it just kind of looks like shit, because everywhere where the part should have dropped off, now you have a piece of metal sticking out there because the torch hadn't moved far enough to knock that or melt that piece of metal off that would otherwise hold it on. So we got it to the point now where over 95% of this all dropped without any intervention. So I'm very happy with the cut. There was one tiny change, not to the design, but to the parameters of the cutting process. And that resulted in me losing 2 cuts. So right here, where the Gulf of California is in the Baja Peninsula, there is a tiny little cut in there, probably about as big as that little tit you're seeing there. There's a tiny little cut right there. And there was another one right here, in the Gulf of Mexico, right above this latitude line. And that was also a really small cut. They're both really skinny, which is why they got dropped off. I could redesign the file and make those 2 spots bigger, and eventually the torch or the processing program will pick it up and it will cut them. But will they be so disproportionate that it'll throw the whole thing off? I kind of wanted to do a sign like this and see if the sign looked okay without having those 2 cuts in there. Me personally, I think it looks okay. I may try to do a redesign with the larger versions of those cuts anyway, and see how it looks. If it still looks okay, I'll go with the bigger enlarged version. But if it doesn't, I actually kind of like the sign as it is. So that's gonna do it for Belt's Garage today. I hope you guys really enjoyed watching the whole process. Sorry about all the noise. The paint booth, even though it's brand new, basically, it is loud. I'm pretty content with how this turned out, and this is another one in the series of military seals that I'm doing. We still also have the seal for the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Navy, and I think we have Space Force and Army already posted. So, and then this will be the Marine Corps. So we'll do the Navy and the Coast Guard, which both have really, those seals, for my money, those are the 2 seals that give the Marine Corps seal a run for its money. They both look really cool. As a former jarhead, I'm partial to the Marine Corps one, but the Coast Guard and the Navy seals also both look really cool off the table. They're already done. I just haven't done the video yet because I haven't painted them yet. So we'll get there. We'll get there sooner than later. I've been trying to publish video a little more frequently. You know, I had a couple of huge projects that were holding me back as far as publishing videos is concerned, and that being building the powder coat oven over here, which took me a solid 5 weeks. I mean, that was a serious project. That took me back a while. And then I lost about a week building the paint booth. The paint booth wasn't too bad. And then right before that, I lost 3 weeks modifying that sandblast cabinet back there. That sandblast cabinet, even though it was a Harbor Freight sandblast cabinet, I rebuilt the entire thing. The only part of that cabinet that's original is the legs and the funnel bottom. The entire top, I cut all new metal on the plasma table. The design is similar, although some people, some of the eagle-eyed who are familiar with Harbor Freight might know the Harbor Freight cabinet's actually a side door. What I did, I added 4 inches to the height, and I added 4 inches to the depth. And then I moved the door from the side to the front. So I cut all new panels. I mean, both sides, the front, the back, the top, and the actual hatch. That's all new. And that project took me about 3 weeks. It was a little more work than I thought it would be. But it's always that way because you're learning as you go. So, back to this. I'm really glad you guys were able to join me for this. The channel is growing. We're getting more subscribers. I'm really happy with that. And I'm going to try to keep putting content out there. I'm also trying to keep my videos shorter. I know some of my earlier videos were really long. I'm going to try to keep them under 20 minutes. I don't think any of these metal cutting and painting videos will be longer than 10 minutes. You know, when I do the seals or vehicles or anything like that, those videos will be short. So 10 minutes or shorter. And then when I do more substantial projects like setting up the powder coat system or doing color change out, that could be 20 minutes, but I'm going to try and keep everything under 20. It's easier for me, and it's certainly, I think, more in line with what you guys want to see. So that's what we're going to do. At any rate, until next time, thanks for joining Galt's Garage, and I'll see you when you get here. Well, that's a fucking terrible outro.